tailgates and ready to go. Welcome into this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we'll go over the latest news and rumors on your Seattle Seahawks as we're talking about some new trade targets from a Seahawks insider, Trey Hendrickson and Jaire Alexander. We will tell you everything you need to know coming up in our first segment. In our second segment, we got some roster moves to get to as the Seahawks have made a couple of signings. They have also released some players. We'll tell you everything you need to know in the second segment of today's show. And then in our third segment, there we go, number 3. Yeah, 3 fingers. Trace. We will go over what John Schneider has done this offseason. John Schneider did it again, folks. I have grades to get to for everything, from the trades to the free agent signings, the top draft picks. We'll go over all of it coming up on today's program. Glad to have you with us. Good to be back. I was off a few days last week handling some family business, but good to be back in the saddle again for a live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show off and rolling. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas. Big Tex is here with me as well. Big Tex, I need to bring you in a little bit early because I got a story to tell, and I need your reaction to this as we start today's program. We're coming at you here from Dallas, but Tex, my path to get here today was a long one, Tex.
Okay.
So I was in Memphis yesterday, and I had a flight on American Airlines. And I don't know if we have any American Airlines employees, but if you are, I feel bad for you because they did not take care of me very well yesterday on American Airlines. As I see Roger checking in from Idaho Falls, Juan's his fearless leader, excited for another live stream. Chris checking in from El Paso. Let us know where you guys are at. So my path to get to Dallas yesterday, to get home.
Yep.
I have a flight scheduled for 10:35 on American. And my flight got delayed about an hour and a half. They said they were having some engine testing issues.
Okay.
And then they canceled the flight.
Brutal.
Yeah. And they said, we're going to do what we can to try to get another flight out tonight, but everything is full. We can't get you on another plane.
Gotcha.
Well, I start doing some looking around, and my options were pretty limited. American was not any help whatsoever on getting me on another plane ride home. They were determined that I fly this morning to get home. But I was not about that because I wanted to sleep in my own bed. I hadn't slept in my own bed since Monday of last week.
Gotcha.
So I found an aircraft, a charter plane at the Memphis Executive Airport that was only carrying 2 other passengers besides myself. It did not have a bathroom. There were no refreshments. And there was a pit stop in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And there was a layover there. But I did manage to get home in one piece. Made it last night, rolled in about 7:30, and here we are. And I live to tell about it in that small charter plane. It was a little bumpy, but Tex, it was worth it to be here today with you, with the 12s. You love to tell it.
That's right.
You got to live it a little adventurously sometimes.
That's right. I was going to ask if it was a bumpy ride. I've flown a charter plane between like the Hawaiian Islands from like Kauai to Maui, but never one that small that only has 3. Like it was like 20 to 40 people. And I was
Sure.
like, oh, tiny. No, that's really tiny. So you had to be going like, woo a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't have drinks on there; it'd just be too much splashing.
Yeah, and I made sure to go to the bathroom twice before each flight since I knew there was no bathroom in there. But hey, I made it. I'm here. I'm glad to be with you guys. There is no one else I would have made that much effort to be here for than the 12s. And I'm glad I did because American, I was tracking. The flight that would have put me on this morning was supposed to fly out at 5 a.m., got delayed till 10 o'clock this morning.
Yeah,
so
that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it all worked out for the better. So let us know where you guys are watching from. I got Michael in Honolulu, Jeremy in Lake Stevens, Washington, Lockett fan in Seattle. Mike is in Portland. Got Carlos in Webster, Florida. Michael says that plane on X. I don't know what that means. But, hey, I'm here, and I'm glad to be here. Do I have any American Airlines employees? Because I now despise American Airlines. It is, and funny enough, I have to fly American again later this weekend. But after this weekend, I will be done with American Airlines anytime soon. What a shitty customer service department. I was very displeased, and they are public enemy number one in my book right now. What has been your favorite offseason move that the Seattle Seahawks have done so far to this point? Gingerbread Man already with a big super chat. We'll get to him in a moment. What has been your favorite move? Big Tex, we're going to talk about all of them today in our third segment of the show. If you had to pick one, I'll save my answer for when we get to that segment. But what about you, Big Tex? What has been your favorite offseason move?
Great question. Sam I am. Give me Sam Darnold.
Ooh.
Great signing. And Geno Smith stinks. Wish the Raiders the worst with them. And we got the right guy at QB1 for the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, Michael's asking about the photo I posted of the plane on X. Yes, that is the one. Maybe I can send you the link, and maybe you can pull this up, Tex.
Sure.
I tweeted this out yesterday.
Yep.
I'll send you the link right now to my tweet. And you guys can see what I'm talking about at this small plane. Some of you might get some FOMO or get a little nervous seeing this plane for yourself. We'll put it on screen since people asked for it. We got Marcel in Everett, got William in Great Valley, Arizona, got Finlay in London. Peter says, Tyler, my man, and Big Tex. Hey, we're here. We're here and ready to roll, Peter. Got Joel in Longview. We got Michael saying G-Man. Does he mean good man, I think?
I think so.
Okay. What has been your favorite Seahawks move? Way in the chat right now, and let us know. And we'll get to the super chat from a gingerbread man here in a bit. There it is, folks. There is my plane yesterday.
Whew.
That is what I survived. To get here, to be here with y'all.
There's like 5 windows on it.
Yeah. I mean, we had 2 pilots and 3 passengers.
Oof.
We were outnumbered. We had to space out just to even out the weight of the plane.
To balance the plane out. Wow.
And this plane was so small, folks. And the first time in my life, I was never asked, the first time in my life I was asked what my weight was before going on the airplane, which is 194 pounds for those keeping up at home that are curious. And that was good enough. If I was too fat, I may not have been able to fly. Fat Jones may not have been able to get on this plane. But I was able to get here to be here for you guys and to do this live show today. And we're glad to bring you this live edition of Seattle Seahawks today. If you would like a shout-out from Big Tex, here's what I need y'all to do. I need to see as many S's as we can in the chat over this next minute. And that'll help the chat rate out. I already got about 75, 85 people in the building here today. I want more people to be here with us and talk Seahawks football and hang out here on this live edition of Seahawks Today. But we need your help. Spam S. Let's see who's going to be the early favorite to be the MVP on today's show. I want to see as many S's as we can over this next minute. And let's have ourselves a day here, folks. And I'll go ahead and start spamming the S's myself, and then Tex will give the shout-outs, and we'll get this show going here. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spam S.
Lockett fan. I see Chris. What's up, Michael? JC, Michael, Lockett, Chris, Ari. There's some new names. Lockett, Chris, Ari, Robert. What's up, Robert? I got a message. Get it out of the way. There we go. Ari, Chris, Michael, Marcel, Ari, Michael, Ari, Chris, Michael. Let's get some new names in there. Sam, Jonathan. There we go. Marcel, Chris, Lockett fan, Sam, Ralph, Jonathan, Mike, Chris, Ari, Gingerbread Man. We'll get your super chat in a second. Appreciate you. Michael, Chris, Sam, the RV, Gingerbread Man, Ari, JC East, Gingerbread Man, Jonathan, Ari, Sam, Robert, Gingerbread Man, Lockett, Ralph, Fabian, that's a new name. Lockett,
10 more seconds.
Gingerbread
Finish
Man,
strong.
Latopic, Myron, Johnny, Ari, JC, Michael, Lockett, RV, Lockett, Robert, Ginger, a bit breezy, Marcel, Johnny, a bit breezy, Myron, Jonathan, finish strong, Gingerbread Man, Spam S, good stuff.
I think I saw Myron in there quite a bit. I saw Gingerbread Man.
Ari.
I saw Michael in there a bit. Good group of people.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all for doing that. We're at 25 likes right now. Let's double that number. When we get to 50, we can get today's show started, and I can crack open a cold can of beer. But we need you guys' help in order to do that. So go ahead and hit that like button, and we'll get this show started coming up in just a few moments from right now. 25 likes, need to get to 50, need about 25 more. So hit that like button. Let me know in the chat when you like the video as well. Type me, and I'll shout out whoever likes the video. And let's get to 50 so we can get this show started. I see Michael already doing his part, liking the video. Thank you, Michael, for that. Who else? Who's going to get us to 50? Who's going to get us to 50 so we can start this show? I still see people spamming S, like Robert and Joel and Myron as well. Thank you, guys. We're 29 likes right now. 35. I need 15 more. Need to get to 50. And today's beer of choice, I'm going with a fine Texas beer, Tex. You like Schneider?
That's all right.
This is my favorite Schneider beer. We happen to have some in the fridge. Schneider Ruby Red Brew.
Wow.
It is a grapefruit beer.
Okay.
Low calories, just 85.
Not bad.
So I can drink as many of these all day.
That's right.
Let's see, who else liked the video? We got Ari. We got Myron. Got Samuel. Jonathan. Tavikas liking the video. We're at 42. I need 8 more, then we can start the show and I can open a beer. Lou liked it. Type me in the chat when you like the video. I need 8 more, and then we can get this show started and have a great time today. Who's going to help us out? 5 more. 5 away. 5 away. Who else? Who else? Chris liked it. I need 4 more. 4 more likes. David liked it. Thank you, David. Lou Topic. Thank you for that. 4 away. 4 away, then we can get today's show started, and I'll crack open the beer. Robert liked it as well. Thank you, Robert. David. And we also have Sam. I need 1 more. 1 more. 1 more. Gingerbread Man is coming in hot today. We haven't got to the Super Chat menu or caught up on Super Chats yet. And I already see a lot from Gingerbread Man. He's going strong today. 1 more. 1 more, and then we'll be there. Robert, Lou, David, Myron. Who's going to put us over the top? I need just 1 more like. Joel says it only says 14 on his end. I got 49 on my end. There's 52. There we go. There's the beer. Cheers to everybody out there. Go Hawks. Now, before we catch up on Super Chats in the Super Chat menu, Tex has a favor to ask of the 12s. Oh, no, my bad. My bad. Oh, I accidentally took that over from the last show. No mailbag today. Sorry, folks. It's Monday. That'll be Wednesday. No mailbag today. No. The only way you can get on today's show is by super chatting because we are not doing a mailbag today. So no mailbag, no hashtag Seahawks. The only way you can get on is by super chatting. Here we go. First super chat of the day. It's a big one to get things started right out of the gates. Out of the gates and ready to go. Gingerbread Man with a $50 super chat. Bang! Gingerbread Man, Gingerbread Man, Gingerbread Man, Gingerbread Man. Everybody spam Gingerbread Man. He's a real one. He loves the Hawks. He loves Sam Darnold, and we love having him here. That's a beer bong already, right off the top of the show. And doing a craft beer bong is going to be interesting, folks. There it is. Everybody spam Gingerbread Man. That's a hell of a way to start today's show with a $50 super chat, if I'd say so myself. I love Gingerbread Man. Gingerbread Man's got my phone number. He can text me anytime. He's a great guy. We've had him on the show. He got to check in during the draft, and we had a great conversation with Gingerbread Man. Gingerbread Man, cheers to you. Go Hawks. Keep spamming Gingerbread Man. Hell of a way to get this show started. On a Monday, he said, I'm glad you got here in one piece. Hey, that's all that matters, right? Not the path to get there, but whatever it takes. And for those that are just joining us, maybe we can show the plane one more time. This is what American canceled my flight. And so this is what it took for me to get here for today's show, what Gingerbread Man's talking about. I had to get on this thing yesterday with only 2 other passengers, and I survived. with a pit stop at Hot Springs, Arkansas, to be here to make sure I was here with the 12s today. And I live to tell, as they say. So glad to be here all in one piece. Gingerbread Man, cheers to you. Cheers to all the 12s out there. Go Hawks. And F American Airlines. Spam F American if you're so inclined. American was no help. I hate their customer service. F American. Cheers. There we go. Ooh. I like that. Thank you, Gingerbread Man. And then Gingerbread Man with another $5 super chat. It says, crack it, referring to the beer. Hey, we cracked it. Beer's ready to go. Cheers to you, Gingerbread Man. Let's go. Hell of a way to start today's show. Let's go to the rest of the super chat menu. Robert says I was brave to get on that plane. Hey, whatever I got to do for my 12s, whatever I got to do for you guys to be here, because American Airlines was no help. F American, spam F American in the chat. They are not a sponsor, so we can go after American Airlines. If they do become a sponsor, I will change my opinion on American Airlines, but they are not right now, so it is F American until further notice. First time super chatters get the Seahawks chant. $5. We'll do a beer cheers. Myron says, hope you use the bathroom first. I did. There was not a bathroom on that plane. And I went twice just to be safe. $5 beer cheers, $10 take some shots, $20 spin the wheel of punishment, $50 we will do a beer bong, and if we reach 300 in super chats, we can do a boot. And we're already making some progress. We're already off to a good start today as we've reached $55 in super chats, courtesy of Gingerbread Man, to get this show started. On today's show, we'll go to the latest news and rumors on your Seattle Seahawks as we're talking Trey Hendrickson and Jaire Alexander. We also have some roster moves. We have some changes to the 90-man roster for Seattle. We'll tell you what John Schneider's been up to over the last few days. And speaking of John Schneider, he did it again. A hell of an offseason for the Seahawks GM. I got my grades for everything John Schneider has done over the last several weeks. We'll go over that in our final segment of today's show. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our first segment and get this party started here on this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Jonesy and Big Tex here with you. Appreciate you spending your Monday afternoon with us. Let's go ahead and get started here on Seahawks Today, starting right now. I got a challenge for the 12s to begin today's show. Chase Sr., the 49ers report. He's a friend, but in this case, he's a friend of me. He told me in the office today, he said, Tyler, there is no way that Seahawks Today can get 1,000 likes on today's video. You guys haven't done it in a long time. Today's not going to be the day that it happens. And they just had a video with over 1,000 likes on the 49ers report, and he was talking his smack and all that. And I was quick to remind him who finished higher in the NFC West standings and who won the last game these two teams played. So if you would like to stick it to Chase Sr. and remind him who the best fans are in not just the NFC West, but the rest of the National Football League, I need you to like today's video. Smash that like button, and we'll get started with today's show. It is I, your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Loaded show ahead as one Seahawks insider is saying that the top Seahawks trade targets right now are Trey Hendrickson and Jaire Alexander. We will dive in to those discussions and react to it and more coming up here on today's show. Let's begin with Trey Hendrickson. The Athletics' Michael Sean Duggar, a Seahawks insider who's been covering the team for a number of years, he named Bengals edge Trey Hendrickson as a Seahawks trade target. Now, I will say, before we dive in too much on both these trade rumors, he did so with a caveat of sorts, but it is worth bringing up nonetheless. You guys know how it works around here. We report, we tell you what people are saying when it comes to the news and rumors, and we react to it. And that's what we're going to do here today. So let's start with this from Michael Sean Duggar. The price for the 30-year-old Defensive Player of the Year runner-up is probably way out of Seattle's budget The combination of draft compensation to satisfy Cincinnati, age, and Hendrickson's desire for a new contract makes that a long shot, even though that's the type of splashy move that would push the Seahawks closer to being a championship contender. All right, so you're saying there's a chance. We've all seen Dumb and Dumber. Fantastic movie. Jim Carrey, I believe it's Jeff Daniels that's in that film with him. Great movie. So you're saying there's a chance. It's a slim chance, but the fact that he is high on the Seahawks list is very intriguing. And it's also worth noting that Trey Hendrickson is not too pleased with his situation in Cincinnati these days. If you recall, the Bengals, they got a deal done with T. Higgins months ago now, but they still haven't gotten anything done with Trey Hendrickson. And it doesn't really make sense to me because Trey Hendrickson is pretty much the only good player on that Bengals defense. You think they would have prioritized Hendrickson over a receiver when they already have Jamar Chase, but I digress. ESPN's Adam Schefter said this today. Trey Hendrickson's statement today to ESPN, no communication has taken place between my camp and the organization post-draft. The offers prior to the draft did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised last offseason if I continued to play at a high level. Coaches are aware of these past conversations. Rather than using collaboration to get to a point to bring me home to the team, they are no longer communicating. I have been eagerly awaiting a resolution to this situation, but that's hard to do when there is no discussion and an evident lack of interest reaching mutual goals. I like Trey Hendrickson a lot. He is one of the best defensive players in football, and he would be a huge asset to this Seahawks team. You look at his career, what he's done so far to this point, his resume has been fantastic as he's right in the thick of his prime years of his career. Began with the New Orleans Saints, then joined the Cincinnati Bengals a few years ago. A four-time Pro Bowler, a two-time first-team All-Pro as recently as this season, and he's coming off back-to-back campaigns with 17.5 sacks in 2023 and in 2024. And you've seen that his numbers have really elevated over the last few seasons with those sacks. The QB hits have gone up. The tackles have gone up. The TFLs. He's been forcing the fumbles as well. But here's the bottom line, folks. The cost for a player like Trey Hendrickson is absolutely insane. The best case scenario of a trade for Trey Hendrickson, all right, and this is if everything goes right, is Seattle giving up a second and a fifth-round pick. Now, since he's going to want a first, and you can't blame them for wanting a first if they're going to trade a player of Trey Hendrickson's caliber, but this would be the best-case situation for Seattle, only giving up a second and a fifth. According to Spotrac, Hendrickson's value is extremely high as well, as he's worth about 2 years, $62.93 million. So not only do you have to give up a lot in capital, but you got to pay the man as well. Seattle has the money to do it. They have plenty of cap space. But do you want to do that right now and give up that capital as well and also sacrifice that cap space that maybe you want to save for other things? So let's ask you. Your chance to be the GM here on Seahawks Today and weigh in on our pinned comment today. Should the Seahawks trade for Trey Hendrickson? Type T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know if they should trade for Trey Hendrickson or not. Folks, I want to make sure you're subscribed to Seattle Seahawks Today as we bring you the latest news and rumors on your favorite team each and every day with sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day. We're doing live shows every Monday and Wednesday. We bring you breaking news, Q&A mailbags. It's all in one place. I want to get at least 20 subs off today's video. If you want to stay up to date with the largest Seahawks channel on YouTube, you got to be subscribed. Doesn't cost you a thing. Absolutely 100% free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. Now, the other half of what Michael Sean Duggar was talking about in his reporting was Packers corner Jaire Alexander as the other top trade target for Seattle. Sean Duggar said the following: Alexander, 28, would upgrade Seattle's cornerback room if healthy. But if health weren't a concern, the Packers would have found a trade partner already. Plus, Alexander's $16.1 million base salary in 2025 is more than Seattle is paying all three of its starting cornerbacks combined. Alexander is not that much of an upgrade to justify the gamble. Personally, I would not trade for Jaire Alexander, and simply this comes down to dollars and cents. I think $16.1 million for a guy that has struggled to stay healthy is just way too much for Seattle or really any team to consider. I don't think anyone's going to be trading for Jaire Alexander as long as he has that cost, unless he's willing to take a pay cut of some sorts. Now, there is another possible scenario out there. I think that there is a decent chance that if the Packers cannot find a trade partner for Jaire Alexander, that he could ultimately be cut and released and signed to any team on a much cheaper contract. And if that's the case, and he becomes available in free agency, then by all means, I could see Seattle potentially making an aggressive move to sign Jaire Alexander if he becomes available in that way. Let's ask you, your chance to be John Schneider. Should the Seahawks add Jaire Alexander? You got two options here. You can type Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in, let us know which way you lean towards. Got a great deal we're offering Seahawks fans right now. Rookie jerseys are available at chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. And they're going to come with the numbers that you will see guys like Gray Zabel and Jalen Milroe wear. We'll have those for you, as well as other rookies at the link, chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. And maybe you don't want one of these rookie jerseys. Maybe you want a player like Sam Darnold or Cooper Kupp or somebody else out there. You go to that same link. We will take care of you and make sure you get the jersey you're looking for. Chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies to get yours now. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies to get yours today. Let's talk more about Jaire Alexander, the 2018 first-round pick out of Louisville. He was a two-time second-team All-Pro in 2020 and in 2022, was also a Pro Bowler in each of those seasons. And as a rookie, he lit it up as well, as he was named to the Pro Football Writers Association's All-Rookie team. When healthy, Alexander has been very productive. You can see in 7 games played this year, had 2 interceptions, a pick 6, 7 pass breakups, along with 16 tackles. But that's also the big if. You can see that he's missed a lot of time, playing in just 14 combined games in the last 2 seasons, played in just 4 games in 2021. His coverage stats, they hold their own when he's out there. Completion percentage allowed, less than 57%. Only has given up 231 yards last year. Quarterback rating allowed is livable at 86.9. Those are all numbers that would be a massive improvement from Josh Jobe if you were to add him into the fold. But his current contract is just too much as is. He has 2 years remaining with $34.3 million in base salary that he is still owed at the moment. I think when you look at this corner room, you got Josh Jobe, Rick Woolen, and Devin Witherspoon. And I feel really good about Spoon and Rick Woolen. But I don't feel great about the idea of Josh Jobe being a full-time starter in 2025. And Mike Macdonald has said in the past that he would like to have some competition for Josh Jobe. And I think everybody would be feeling really good if Josh Jobe is your backup corner, if he can step in, if there's an injury and come in. And I think he would do a really good job in that sense. But I think you can do better than Josh Jobe. And Alexander, I think, would be an upgrade, but only for the right price. That's the key here. I don't think you need to be trading for him. I don't think you need to take on his current contract. But if he is released, I think by all means, you could be running to his agent to go get a deal done to potentially sign him. If you had to pick one to add, which player would you rather have in Seattle right now? Trey Hendrickson or Jaire Alexander? Type TH for Trey Hendrickson. Type JA for Jaire Alexander. Let us know. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right. One down, two to go. Up next, we'll talk roster moves, catch you up with what the Seattle Seahawks have been doing. And then in our third segment, we will do offseason grades, what John Schneider has been up to. Pick one to add, Trey Hendrickson or Jaire Alexander. It's our poll question right now as well. 65% of you going with Hendrickson, 35% going with Alexander, with about 130 votes so far to this point. Big Tex rejoins me right now. So, Big Tex, knowing what you know now, what we just talked about, which way would you lean towards if you had to choose? I'd go Trey Hendrickson. He's the better player, but if Alexander is
Sorry, 1 sec.
Okay.
One thing happened. Sorry.
If Alexander is available in free agency, to me, I think that makes a ton of sense. Like I would be running towards that, even with the injury concerns, if he's available as a free agent. I'm not trading for him, but I would be very fascinated if he's available come free agency. 65% of you going with Trey Alexander, 35% going with Jaire Alexander. Get your votes in that poll question. I got Myron saying Trey Hendrickson. I got Chris saying Trey Hendrickson. I got a little CC saying Trey Hendrickson. And then I got Edward just shouting out his name saying Edward. Joel says we can't afford Trey Hendrickson, don't really need Jaire Alexander. Joel, that's not true. The Seahawks can't afford Trey Hendrickson. They have plenty of cap space. That's not true. They can afford Trey Hendrickson if they want Trey Hendrickson. Text your thoughts. Which one would you rather have?
Great question. I think they're pretty set at the cornerback room. I know depth is great, and Jaire Alexander would be a better start, but I do worry about his injury concerns. And I think Trey Hendrickson is a lot healthier, a lot more consistently productive, and the edge rusher position is one where you can never have too many pass rushers, and Trey Hendrickson is the cream of the crop, to use a certain term to describe him. But I would definitely go with Trey Hendrickson. I think he'd be your better long-term solution, and he would give you better sack production, better defensive production, and also stay healthier long-term as a player.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson, the answer there for most folks. Lon saying Trey Hendrickson as well. Let's go to the Super Chat menu real quick. Yeah, that's fine. Super Chat menu, if you'd like to get involved in today's show. We will. Byron says, Tyler, cover his injuries. We talked about his injuries. We literally just talked about the injury issues. There's no mailbag today. The only way you can get on today's show is by sending us a Super Chat. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute. First time Super Chat is give the Seahawks chant. $5 will do a beer cheers. $10 do some shots. $20 spin the wheel of punishment. $50 will do a beer bong. $sign next to the chat box if you would like to contribute and get on today's show. Up next, let's talk roster moves, what the Seahawks have been up to. And then in our third and final segment, we will go over offseason grades, what John Schneider has done. We'll tell you about here on today's show. Without further ado, let's get started with segment 2 as we continue here. Myron says, my bad. Myron, be listening. I just talked about the injuries. Just talked about that, man. It's all good. It's all good, Myron. All right. Let's continue now. Roster moves as we continue here on Seahawks Today. You're watching Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Schultz, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Over the last several days, the Seahawks have made a few roster moves as they have released a few guys. They have signed a couple of others. We'll tell you everything you need to know coming up in just a bit. Before we do, folks, you may have heard about the sub-battle we got going on with Vikings Now for the month of May. We took their guy, Sam Darnold. They took our guy, Sam Howell. And Patrick Seatman, the host of Vikings Now, friend of the show, used to work with us here. He said that he wanted to duke it out, and he tried claiming that Sam Darnold is still their guy. I cannot let that happen, folks. I want to stick it to Vikings Now and win this sub-battle for the month of May. Battle of the Sams. We got to win it for Sam Darnold. For daily Seahawks coverage, our news and rumors, our live shows twice a week, Q&A mailbags, breaking news, and more, you got to be subscribed to the channel. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get started with today's show. So we've seen a lot of movement in Seattle after rookie minicamp of players that have been released and players that have been signed. And I want to go over every single one that has occurred within the last week. If you missed something, here's your chance to kind of play catch up in addition to the new moves that have been made as well. So let's go ahead and tell you what you need to know. TJ Jackson was released, the defensive end out of West Virginia. Jackson Woodard, the linebacker out of UNLV, he was released as well, and he was viewed by many, including me, as one of the top UDFAs that the Seahawks signed. Then you fast forward to Monday, River Craycraft, who there was some excitement about. He wasn't bad with the Miami Dolphins at all. He was released. And then you had a couple signings also on Monday. Montorie Foster Jr. at the wide receiver position. He was signed out of Michigan State. We'll talk more about him coming up later. And then Jaire Jackson, linebacker from Kentucky. He was also signed by Seattle. So we'll go in depth on Foster and Jackson in just a bit, but let's kind of recap what has happened with these moves. First off, I'm surprised to see Woodard go. He was the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year this past season, a two-time Mountain West Conference selection. I thought he was sneaky good, and he was projected to go on day 3 of the draft, according to our own Tom Downey. He had a 5th-round grade on him. So maybe he didn't have a good camp. I don't know exactly, but I was very surprised to see this move. Now, we see players come and go. This might be just their way of opening up a roster spot for somebody right now, but I wouldn't say the door is completely closed on him. Maybe in a week, a month, 2 months, we could be talking about Jackson Woodard getting another chance and he could be back. So I wouldn't say that we've seen necessarily the last of him, but it was a bit of a surprise. Now, Craycraft, this is somebody they gave up on pretty quick. He was a pretty good special teams player with the Miami Dolphins. He had a few decent touchdown scores. I thought when they signed him that they were looking at him as a potential good depth piece, but that did not happen. He didn't really have much of a chance either, as team activities just now really started. So that one was surprising. With that said, big picture, the players that were released and the players that were signed, this doesn't change much. There are some things that are shocking about these moves, but overall, this doesn't change the outlook of this team too much in that situation. So let's ask you to whip out your red pen and weigh in on our pinned comment today. Let us know what your grade would be for the Seahawks roster moves, A, B, C, D, or F. I'll give you my grade in just a moment, but want to hear from you guys first. Get your grades in and let us know. My grade is a B, although I personally would have liked to seen Jackson Woodard stay and River Craycraft stay. The team didn't get worse from these moves. These are minor moves that were made on the part of John Schneider for guys competing for roster spots at this juncture. At the end of the day, this is all a big experiment. We all remember going to the science fair in elementary and middle school. My science experiment, by the way, was the old Diet Coke and Mentos, which I quickly learned does not work with Walmart soda. You got to use the real Diet Coke. You can't be using the Dr. Sam or whatever it's called, or Diet Sam. But this is all an experiment at this point. This is not make or break these moves. But nonetheless, with that said, let's talk about the players that have signed, starting with Montorie Foster Jr. out of Michigan State, a UDFA, was there from 2020 to 2024. And I'll be honest, when I have to pull up this stat to fill in the resume, it's usually not a great sign. He was a 2-time academic All-Big Ten, which the Big Ten, every school except Nebraska now, is a AAU institution. Very, very smart within the Big Ten. They pride their academics in that league. So he's got a good IQ. He's got that going for him. But not a ton of production. He had 100-plus career receptions and 1,000-plus career receiving yards. But those are numbers I want in a season, not over a career. Here's his stats from 2024. He had a total of 46 catches, 588 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaged about 13.2 yards a reception as well. Bottom line, there's a lack of production here. Okay? Even with the UDFAs, even with players joining the team late to compete for roster spots, I would expect more than those type of numbers that he put up at Michigan State here. Honestly, I would be surprised if he ends up making this team. Not saying he can't, but his back's against the wall. He's got a lot to prove if he's going to end up making this 53-man roster when it's all said and done. Meanwhile, let's talk about De'Aaron Jackson. I think he's the more intriguing of these two signings. Played at Kentucky from 2020 to 2024. He was Kentucky's leading tackler in 2022 and in 2023. Suffered a season-ending injury this year, missed the final 4 games, so that cost his chance of being the leading tackler for a third straight season. But you talk about consistency. When he was healthy out there, he recorded a tackle in 31 straight games played with the Wildcats. And these are the type of numbers that we're talking about what Jackson was able to do in his career. You can see in 2022, in 13 games played, he had 67 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 pass breakups. Last season, when he played the full campaign, accounted for 89 total tackles, 8 TFLs, 2 sacks, 4 pass breakups. Also was able to haul in 2 interceptions and a pick 6. And last year was going pretty good prior to the injury. 38 tackles, 5 TFLs, 1 sack, 3 pass breakup, and 1 interception. I think that this is somebody that's kind of sneaky good. Tackling machine. You can never have too many of those. The injury, I think, held him back from what could have been a pretty decent year this year with the Kentucky Wildcats. I don't think he's a bad football player. I think this one is the more interesting signing, especially with Seattle lacking depth at the linebacker position at this point. Who was the better signing? Was it Foster or was it Jackson? If you think it was Foster, type MF for Foster. If you think it was Jackson, type DJ for Jackson. Chime in the comment section and let us know. Seahawks Today is your one-stop shop for all things Seattle Seahawks as we bring you news, rumors, weekly live shows, and more here on the channel. I love talking about the Seattle Seahawks, and I love talking about it with you guys. And I know it's the offseason. Headlines can be a little bit dry at times, but we're still going to stay on top of this team in every way possible, and we're going to bring you videos each and every day on the channel. If you love the Seahawks, you got to be subscribed. Turn on notifications. That way you never miss a moment. Stay plugged in with what we're doing each and every day. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Overall, the Foster signing doesn't move the needle at all, but I am intrigued to see what Jackson could potentially do and if maybe he's got an outside chance to make the roster for Seattle potentially. I think he's got the better shot to do so. So one more look to recap these roster moves. Jackson released. Woodard released. Might not be the last we see of Woodard. Craycraft released. I was a bit surprised with that one there, but maybe that's the sign that Seattle feels pretty good about the receiver room. Foster signed, and then Jackson signed as well. For more coverage beyond what you see on this show, give me a follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Tyler Jones Live, as I'm keeping you up to date with your Seattle Seahawks over on that platform. At Tyler Jones Live, give me a follow there. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. Up next, we'll do off-season grades, as John Schneider has done it again. He has done it, yes. We'll go over that here in just a bit. How would you grade the Seahawks roster moves of what they did with these signings here and releases within the last few days? A, B, C, D, or F? Chime in the comment section. Let us know. Myron saying B+ is his grade there. Big Tex is here with me as well. He's scratching his chinny chin chin. Tex, is there something you want to tell me here?
I'm trying to decide what my grade is. I think I'm going to go... I was debating between a B+ and like an A- in that range. I think I'm going to go A-, especially because John Schneider had a lot of things to fix, and I think for the most part. It's not perfect, but getting offensive line help and Gray Zabel in the first round was knocking out of the park, in my opinion. And I think in years past he would have neglected that, especially when Pete Carroll was here.
Oh, Tex, put yourself on screen. I have something to tell you.
Yes, I got you. Give me one second.
And it's very important that you be on screen for this.
Okay. Give me 1 sec.
I haven't seen him today, but maybe he'll pop up and join us here in just a moment. Myron says B, Raw Hector says C, Lon says D. So, Big Tex.
Yes.
Are you aware of the singer Kenny Loggins?
No.
So I have been told by a friend of the show, Bill Pollock, who you guys see from time to time super chatting, he thinks that you might be, with this look you got going, to the beard and the hair, the illegitimate son of Kenny Loggins.
I got to see what a picture.
Let's throw up a picture of Kenny Loggins on screen. I could send you a photo.
Sweet.
Kenny Loggins. Folks, chat, I got to know.
Oh, I know who this guy is.
Highway to the Danger Zone.
That's definitely his most famous song.
Highway to the Danger Zone. And here's the photo that Bill Pollock sent me. Maybe we can do a side-by-side. Chat,
yeah.
Yes or no? Does Big Tex look like Kenny Loggins? Maybe we can put Big Tex full screen and get a side-by-side.
Yep. Let me get the photo in the sheet real quick.
But I would
like
say,
Jesus.
I would say it would be 80s Kenny Loggins. Not what he looks like now.
No. Thank God.
Yeah. Kenny Loggins has gotten a little older.
Yes, I'm still young, thankfully.
Kenny Loggins also did Footloose.
He did do Footloose. That's right.
Footloose. Let
me see. Let me get a big. That's kind of a tiny box. Let me see if I can get a bigger one real quick.
Pause.
Massive pause. Let's do a 2-cam.
Okay. Here's the side-by-side.
That may. 1 sec. Let him cook. I'm going to have to modify something because we are not these people that are on our preview window. Give us 1 sec, folks.
So, and this might be breaking news to some people, but the song Footloose from the movie Footloose was not done by Kevin Bacon.
Oh, really?
No.
Who's
Kenny
done?
Loggins sang that song. Even though they have Kevin Bacon singing it, pretend to sing it in the movie. That's Kenny Loggins.
I see.
That is Kenny Loggins singing Footloose. Here's the side-by-side.
Oh, my.
Does Big Tex look like Kenny Loggins? Is he the illegitimate son of Kenny Loggins? Big Tex, your reaction.
I mean, his beard's a lot darker than mine. Mine's like, there we go. Mine's like dark, but not that dark. Mine's like red.
I would take that as a compliment.
I do. I was going to say, he's a good-looking guy. He's got the Jesus flow going. I'll take it. I don't know about the illegitimate part. Feels like a sly, backhanded compliment, but I'll take it.
Why for yes, in for no? Does Big Tex look like 80s Kenny Loggins?
Sorry, our webcam is kind of brutal with the exposure. I'm going to try to make it more visible. There we go. A little bit better.
Gingerbread Man says yes. He definitely is. He definitely does.
I like that song, so I'll take that as a compliment for sure.
Footloose. Now, we mentioned Footloose. Have you ever heard of the game 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon?
No, I haven't.
So Kevin Bacon apparently knows everybody.
Really?
And so there's an old game of if you name somebody, how many degrees are you from them? So here's an example as we go to the Super Chat menu. First time Super Chat is good Seahawks chant. $5 do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 spin the wheel punishment. $50 do a beer bong. So here's an example, Tex. This weekend I was in Memphis, and my family, they're close to the Presleys.
Yep.
My story goes, as we were honoring my grandmother this weekend who passed, she was from Memphis originally. My grandparents owned a store in downtown Memphis, and 12-year-old Elvis played at their grand opening.
Wow.
And brought his guitar. My grandmother sat on his lap, and she gave him a kiss on the cheek.
That's
and
crazy.
She's loved Elvis ever since. So for me, as an example, with my grandmother being the connection to Elvis, that means I am only 1 degree of Kevin Bacon to Elvis Presley.
Wow.
Based on that logic. So,
true.
If you were to name a celebrity out there, then, You got to figure out, okay, who do I know that knows that person?
Right.
How many degrees of Kevin Bacon are I to that individual?
It's a crazy measurement.
It is.
It's very specific.
Raw Hector's calling you Tex Loggins.
Tex Loggins. I like it. That's a good one. That's
Tex
a new one.
Loggins. Big Tex Loggins.
I like it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right. Let's continue. Final segment. John Schneider does it again. We'll go over our grades for the Seahawks this offseason with every major move that they made. We'll talk about all of it and more coming up. Shout out Kenny Loggins, Big Tex's illegitimate father. Footloose. What's a better song, folks? Footloose or Danger Zone?
Danger Zone.
I got to go Danger Zone, although I do love Footloose.
Both are good. Only one amps you up.
The whole premise of Footloose is a little silly, though. Like, they're not allowed to dance.
Yeah, it's like what society tells you.
What society doesn't allow dancing?
What is this? The Fahrenheit 451 or whatever? Like, what are we doing?
I did love the remake. It was one of the very few remakes I liked with Julianne Hough.
Yeah.
I love Julianne Hough. I've had a crush on her for a long time.
Big Julianne Hough guy.
Yes.
Okay.
The only reason to watch Dancing with the Stars, as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's get to it. John Schneider does it again. All-season grades coming up as we'll get to our final segment here right now on Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started here right now. John Schneider did it again this offseason, folks, on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. We will give you a full recap and analysis of every major move that John Schneider pulled off this offseason and give you our grades. We'll bring that to you coming up in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Before we do, folks, I want to make sure you're subscribed to Seattle Seahawks Today as we are closing in on 67,500 subscribers of the channel, just a little over 170 away from reaching that next milestone. We're bringing you daily news and rumors. We have live shows twice a week. Our Madden Sims are coming back very, very soon. We just had a meeting about that this week. If you love the Seattle Seahawks, this is the channel for you. Stay locked in all offseason long. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV to subscribe now, and we'll get going with today's show. Schneider did it again. What an interesting offseason it was for the Seattle Seahawks as they made some big moves. They didn't have a ton of money to work with, and I think Schneider made the most of the opportunity that he had in front of him. What we're going to do is we're going to give our grades for every single major move that the Seahawks did and share our thoughts and kind of go rapid fire through these pretty quickly. So let's begin with the first move of the offseason. And this more came from Mike Macdonald's department as Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator, was fired. You're fired. Out of here. To me, that was an A grade. Look, I understand the Seahawks won 10 games, but the offense was so inconsistent. They could never get an opening drive touchdown. There was a lot of problems there. And I think the breaking point was the Bears game when they only scored 6 total points. This had to be done. They won 10 games this year in spite of Ryan Grubb, not because of Ryan Grubb. This change had to happen. It was the right decision. And then his replacement, Clint Kubiak, I give that an A. Clint Kubiak's got a good track record. I love, in particular, what he did in Minnesota. I give that hiring an A. And the scheme. Look, the other issue with what we saw in the previous regime under Ryan Grubb, that offense was not an NFL offense. You were trying to bring a Pac-12 offense to the National Football League and throw it 40-plus times a game. That wasn't going to work. You were going back to your bread and butter of how to be successful in the National Football League, running the football, making things easier for Sam Darnold. I think the scheme is a natural fit. Geno Smith was traded to the Las Vegas Raiders for a third-round pick that ended up turning into Jalen Hurts. And I'll give this a B+ because it was a good trade, but it wasn't a great trade. You got what you could. I can't imagine that too many teams were lining up to give up the farm for Geno Smith. But you got out of a bad situation. Geno didn't want to be there. He made that known. And he cost more money than Sam Darnold did. and you got a pick out of it, I think you made the most of the circumstance you had with trading Geno Smith. That wasn't the only trade. DK Metcalf was also traded, and this receiver room is going to look a lot different in 2025 with Tyler Lockett also released as well. I give that trade a B. It was a tough situation for Seattle to trade DK Metcalf, as I think that they waited too long if they were going to trade him. They probably should have traded him a couple of years ago. Felt like these last couple of years were wasted. They could have gotten more out of him, and he didn't want to be there. But at the end of the day, you still got a second-round pick. It could have been worse. I'll give it a B. Tough situation, not ideal, but you got somebody out there, and you don't have to pay DK either. I think it worked out, but it could have been better, so that's why I go B here. Then Ernest Jones was re-signed, and to me, this was a no-brainer decision by John Schneider and Mike Macdonald to bring Ernest Jones back. You already made the investment, trading for him at the trade deadline. You got him at a very fair cost compared to how the market went for linebackers out there. He's just now entering his prime. I think this made a ton of sense for Seattle to bring back Ernest Jones and to get him that new deal. I liked it for Seattle. I'll go with an A there, and I think that his best football is still in front of him. He's going to be a really good football player. Now, our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break while the ads play. Get your votes in. Let us know what you think. How would you grade Seattle's offseason? I'll give you my overall grade at the end of today's show, but want to hear from you guys. A, B, C, D, or F. How do you think John Schneider did? Weigh in. Let us know in the comments section. The best move of all of what the Seahawks did was re-signing Josh Jobe to just a $2 million contract. A very affordable deal for a player that right now is one of their starting outside corners. I don't know if he is going to start when the season begins. But as I've stated previously, I can find a spot for Josh Jobe on this roster. I prefer him to be a backup, but at $2 million and with the production he put out there, this was a great call. And it's the best contract on this team. The best contract in the entire roster. Just $2 million, a one-year deal. And if he ends up being your starter, that's pretty good compared to the rest of the market. If you're only paying him that type of money for a veteran player, I like bringing Josh Jobe back for such a cheap cost like that. Jarran Reed also re-signed, and I got to give this one an A. Jarran Reed has been kind of the new vocal leader of this defense since we saw the departures of guys like Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs and among others here. He's taken that mantle, and he's held his own, and I think he still has a lot to offer. He has his struggles at times in run defense, but he's good when it comes to the pass rush. He plays well alongside Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy. I thought it was great to bring back Jarran Reed. I'm excited to have him into the fold here to potentially finish out his career in Seattle. Then you found your replacement for Geno Smith, signing Sam Darnold. I'll go with an A- here. And I love the signing for a number of reasons. You got a younger and cheaper quarterback than what you had in Geno Smith. And I think you got a better quarterback than Geno Smith as well. The numbers that he had last year at Minnesota were far and away better than any season Geno Smith has had in his career. And not to mention, too, he had a bad offensive line he was working with in Minnesota, and he didn't let that be an excuse. But the reason why I have this an A- and not an A is there's a small sample size of Sam Darnold playing at a high level. He failed in Carolina. He failed with the New York Jets. You would like to think that Sam Darnold has turned a corner and that you have found your future franchise quarterback, but we don't know for certain. That's why I'm going with an A-. I'm optimistic, but time will tell. Cooper Kupp signed. I'll give that one an A-. It was a lot of money for Cooper Kupp, but I think there's still way more positives than are negatives here. He's from the state of Washington. It's a homecoming. He stays in the division, a chance to play the rival Rams twice a year. You got to imagine he'll be motivated. He won the Triple Crown a few years ago, leading the league in receptions and receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. But that year was a bit of an an anomaly for him. I look at Cooper Kupp. I'm glad he's here, but the injuries have been an issue in the last few years, and typically that doesn't get better as you get older. I hope they kind of keep him to a pitch count in practices and in training camp and all that, because the most important thing is going to be the availability of Cooper Kupp. I can live with him missing a training camp practice if he's playing for my squad in December and January when it counts. And I think that's going to be important to keep tabs on. Up next, Demarcus Lawrence, the edge rusher, signed. I'll go with a B+. You bring him over from the Dallas Cowboys. He's fired up to be here. He was talking his smack about his former team not too long ago. And this is a guy that has had a great career. And Mike Macdonald has an excellent track record when it comes to these veteran pass rushers like the Kyle Van Noys, the Jadeveon Clowneys, those guys, Justin Houston. Demarcus Lawrence should be up his alley. But the injuries are a concern. He only played 4 games last year, much like we talked about with Cooper Kupp. It doesn't look better as you get older here. I still think it's a good signing. It's a lot of money, but another reason why I give this a B+, although it looks like a lot of money, it's not a lot of guaranteed money. So if the injuries are an issue, or if you need to get out of that contract next year, if it doesn't work out, you have the opportunity to potentially do so. What was your favorite move of the offseason for the Seattle Seahawks? Whether it was a draft pick, a trade, a free agent signing, what was your favorite move? If you had to choose one, what would it be and why? Wait in that comment section and let us know. Rookie jerseys are available now, whether it's guys like Gray Zabel or Jalen Milroe, and among others. We got their jerseys for you at chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies, and you'll get the jersey with their number on it, by the way. So something to keep in mind when you're ordering these things. And we have other rookies available. We also have other Seahawks players available. Maybe you want a Sam Darnold or a Cooper Kupp jersey, whatever it may be. Just go to that same link, chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies, to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies to get yours now. Now, this was probably my least favorite move of the entire offseason. The Seahawks signing MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I give this one a D. And personally, I know that MVS had a good season with the New Orleans Saints last year, but he has failed one too many times. He got caught by the Kansas City Chiefs, had a golden opportunity in Kansas City when they'd moved on from Tyreek Hill. They were looking for help from anybody. That receiver room was depleted, and he didn't do much. He goes to the Buffalo Bills, and they were in kind of a similar boat that Kansas City was in a couple of years ago. They were needing some help after moving on from Stephon Diggs, and he couldn't even make the roster in Buffalo last year. He has failed one too many times. But he played well in Kubiak's system, so that's why I give it a D as opposed to an F here. And I don't like that you're asking him to be the number 3 receiver in this offense. I think that's too big of a role for him, for somebody who's been largely inconsistent in his career, and the best thing that he can do is draw a defensive pass interference penalty from time to time. I did not like this signing. I'm not a fan of it. I'll go with a D. It was the biggest mistake of any player that was signed, but they did so well with the other signings. It's one I can still kind of live with. D'Anthony Bell at the safety spot, I'll give a B+. Mike Macdonald and company have already talked about that they have plans to potentially use him as a 3rd safety option. And you also drafted Nick Emmanwori. We'll talk about him later. I think at the very least it's a good depth piece. And if you have an injury, D'Anthony Bell can step in and he could start at one of the safety spots if needed. I like it for Seattle of signing D'Anthony Bell. Then at the draft, Sam Howell was traded, as that allowed the Seahawks to move up in the 5th round by sending him off to the Minnesota Vikings. You signed Drew Lock, so you didn't necessarily need Sam Howell anymore, and I'll give this one an A. It was time. I think you got enough of a sample size that you felt good with where you were at with the quarterback position, not to mention the Jalen Milroe situation. We'll talk about him coming up later. I think that you got what you could out of the situation. You tried it with Sam Howell, it didn't work out, and that's okay, and you moved on from there. It didn't really cost you a ton. I think that made a ton of sense. Now let's go over some of the draft picks for Seattle. Let's start with Gray Zabel. I know some people would have liked Seattle to trade down and still get him and get some more value in the draft, but they didn't get an offer they liked. But they got the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. He played tackle at North Dakota State. He's going to move to the guard spot here in Seattle. I'm going to go with an A. You filled a major need with the signing, with the draft pick of Gray Zabel here. You got a guy who can step in and start day one. I think it was an excellent selection for the Seattle Seahawks to go with Gray Zabel. And then you go with Nick Emmanwori in the second round. Traded up to 35 to snag him up out of South Carolina. Most people had a first-round grade on him. I did too. We were talking about him potentially being Seattle's pick, maybe even at 18. This was a home run pick for Seattle. They got a guy that's got star potential in this league. I'm very high on Nick Emmanwori, and he's already seen some snaps at the nickelback spot. They're talking about using him as a third safety. Emmanwori is going to be on the football field right away. Now, with all these changes the Seahawks have made, are they a better team now than they were in 2024? They won 10 games. They were co-division champions. Tiebreaker went to the Rams. Is this a better team? I think it is. What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, in for no. Chime in and let me know what you think. More draft picks for you. Let's talk about some of the top draft picks for Seattle. Elijah Arroyo, I give this one an A. I was a big fan of Elijah Arroyo coming out. I think he's got real star potential in this league, and you have to stop thinking about how Seattle's used this tight end position in the past, where they've kind of ignored it in the passing game. Elijah Arroyo is going to come in and be a natural fit for what Clint Kubiak wants to do. Kubiak wants to throw the football and use his tight ends. I think Arroyo is going to quickly climb up the depth chart, and he might even be your tight end one before the season begins. I think he can be a star in this league. I love the pick of Arroyo. Big Texas guy, too. Jalen Milroe, I'll give this a B+. Very unusual for the Seahawks to draft a quarterback, not something that they do too often. They passed on Shedeur Sanders in order to go with Jalen Milroe. I have some question marks, some concerns about Jalen Milroe. He's got a lot of work to do when it comes to his accuracy as a quarterback. That's why I go with a B+. But I'm intrigued. This is one that's worth a shot that you use just a third-round pick on. He doesn't have to be your franchise quarterback. If he becomes that, that's kosher. That's great if he does. But at the very least, we've already heard Mike Macdonald, some rumblings about using a two-quarterback system where you get him and Darnold on the field together. Maybe it's the tush push or some wildcat packages. The opportunities are endless with Jalen Milroe as far as that goes. Riley Mills out of Notre Dame was drafted. I'll go with a B+. And for Riley Mills, this is about the long-term play here. We might not even see him in 2025 after he tore his ACL in the college football playoff this past season. But even with that said, this was somebody that, had he been healthy, would have gone much higher. He checks off all the boxes you're looking for at the defensive tackle spot. He's a really good pass rusher here. I like the opportunity. Take the chance. I'll go B+, but because of the injuries, we'll stay with B+, not go higher than that. Torrey Horton, we'll go with a B+ as well. Lots of potential with Torrey Horton here. He's coming off an injury. That's also why we go B+ here, because he's not fully healthy. But that allowed you the opportunity for him to slide as much as he did. But once he gets healthy, I think that we very well may be talking about Horton being the number 3 receiver in this offense. He is that good. He's got that much talent. And I think you're going to be able to stretch the field and find ways to get him involved right away once he's out there. And then one more draft pick we'll talk about today is Robbie Oots, who they selected out of Alabama. He was a tight end. They're going to convert him to a fullback. I'll go C+. I don't think Oots is a bad football player, but a fullback that you're changing positions, and there was still a lot of good players on the board, I think was a bit of a reach. I think it was the worst of the draft picks Seattle made. But because the rest of the offseason and the rest of the draft was so good, I'm okay with it. It's fine with me. It's not the end of the world that you use that pick on Robbie Oots there. So, Speaking of the draft, who was your favorite Seahawks draft pick? If you had to name one player, who would it be and why? No wrong answers. Just want to hear from you guys. Weigh in and let us know. So final thoughts, I'll put it this way. When I look back at this offseason, John stepped out of his comfort zone a bit, found a new quarterback, moved on from DK Metcalf, said goodbye to Tyler Lockett, found a new quarterback in Sam Darnold, drafted a QB, traded up for an interior lineman, brings in Cooper Kupp. Some bold moves. And at the end of the day, this is a better team than it was at the end of 2024. And with what they've done in the draft and the young players they already have in the system, this team is built for the future. The vibes are immaculate. Things are looking up for the Seattle Seahawks. John Schneider, his back was against the wall. Pressure was on, and he responded accordingly. I'll give the overall grade for Seattle this offseason an A-. It was a very good offseason. It wasn't perfect. Got some questions about MVS and Robbie Oots, but I think it's a huge step in the right direction, especially for second-year head coach Mike Macdonald. You got the right head coach. Now you got him the right offensive coordinator into the fold. Things are looking good from here for the Seattle Seahawks. For more Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today for the latest happenings on your favorite team all offseason long. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time. All right. So that's our final segment today. We will go back to the Super Chat menu. If we get a Super Chat of any amount, we'll stay live. If not, we'll sign off and call it a day. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute. First time Super Chatters get the Seahawks chant. $5 do beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 spin the wheel of punishment. $50 will do a beer bong. We're at $55 right now. If we want to get to a boot, we got to get to $300. Not impossible, but we'll see if you guys can make it happen. 1 minute on the clock starting right now. We'll see if we get a Super Chat of any amount and go forward from there. Big Tex, fun show today. Any final thoughts, whether it's on the Seahawks or you looking like Kenny Loggins or what?
I did not expect the Kenny Loggins comparison, but I appreciate it. Makes me not want to cut my hair if I look like the guy that made Danger Zone or wrote Danger Zone.
Can you sing like Kenny Loggins, though?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not. I will humble myself in front of everybody and say, no, I cannot even sing in the realm of Kenny Loggins. I wish.
When you're at church, are you just lipping the words to make it look like you're singing, or are you still praising the Lord?
Depends how thirsty I am. Because honestly, I've noticed, depending on how many hymnals I have to sing with my family, I'll start to lip sing if I get thirsty and I don't have any water to drink. Because actual singing, man, takes it out of me. The Lord takes it out of me.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
That's right.
All right. I'm not seeing any more Super Chats. We'll sign off. Folks, thanks for joining us. Wednesday, TBD on what time we'll be here because that is scheduled release day. So stay tuned. We will we'll be live at some point. I don't know when exactly Wednesday, but we will be live. Some more details to come on that. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Seahawks TV for continuing Seahawks coverage. For Big Tex, I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everybody. So long.